Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. I wasn't gonna start my vlogs like this, my videos like this anymore. Hello friends, happy January, happy 2024. I feel like everybody has said a version of this, but holy crap, I cannot believe this is where we're at. Today we are going to talk about some reading goals, reading habits I would like to have for this coming year, and then we're also going to briefly touch on my January reading plans, though it won't actually be a TBR because I'm going to try really hard not to do TBR for January, but we'll get into that. So let's talk about reading goals. I had a few reading goals for 2023. A couple of them I ended up realizing were kind of arbitrary, and I didn't really have a good reason for them other than just to have reading goals. One of them was to only buy 2 books a month. That didn't happen. It was a nice try, but it didn't happen. Another goal I had for 2023 was to read a little bit less than I did in 2022, which I accomplished, not by a lot, but a little. And I initially had said I wanted to only read about 10 books a month, but I really discovered over the past year that my sweet spot is somewhere between like 15 and 20 books, and 10 just meant I was spending more time on my phone than I was reading, and I don't want that. That's not the direction I want to go. And then more than 20, and I tend to get overwhelmed when it's time to do my reading wrap-ups at the end of the month. So I'm going to just not put a requirement on the number of books I read. I like it to stay organic, and I just read however much I read that month without pre-planning it out and being nitpicky about it for no reason other than just to say I have a goal for the month. Another goal I had for 2023 was to read down my physical TBR. I definitely succeeded with that one. I started the year with, I think, 130 unread books, physical books. We're not going to talk about my Libro FM account because that's a whole nother problem. And I am down in like the 80-ish range now. So that was a big success. The ultimate goal is to get my unread shelf down to approximately 25 books. We'll see. We'll see if that happens. But that's the goal. And so let's just dive in for this year. So I have a few things that I wrote down. I want to continue to work on my unread shelf, like I just said, and whittle that down. I want to pivot and focus a little bit harder on my Libro FM stash this year. Along with my TBR, I really do want to buy fewer books this year. I'm not going to put myself on a book buying ban because I don't feel like that really works for me. But I am really, I mean it this year. I'm going to try so hard to utilize my library first and try new stuff out from the library. And if the book isn't in my library's catalog, I'm going to start requesting that my library purchase things. I've done it in the past. I know my library is happy to do it. I don't know why I don't just do it. I have a bookseller colleague who says there's no such thing as a book emergency, and I really believe that. Like, it will not hurt me to wait 2 weeks to get my hands on a book that in the moment I want to read right that very second. But I think we all know that's not how it works. Like, you buy a book that you're really excited about, and for some reason it just goes on the shelves and we don't read it for a while, if not a long time. So I can utilize more patience and more impulse control, and I really want to make sure that my library is my priority. And then when I have read a book that I really love and feels like it is a favorite and a book like I will reread down the line, then I can go and purchase that book. But I would rather have book trophies than unread books on my shelves, if that makes sense. And then the other goal I have is I So I started out as a bookstagrammer. Have a lot of love for Instagram anymore. I have a lot of love for my community that I have over there, which is small but is really important to me. And at the time you're watching this, I'm currently on my yearly social media break that I take every January. But I want to use this month to really think about how I can use Instagram to now help support my YouTube channel, because I am putting my creative effort and focus into my YouTube and not my Instagram. And I want to figure out a way to utilize my Instagram to help support my YouTube. So I know that's not directly about reading. It's more about influencing reading. But I follow a couple of booktubers on Instagram who I think use their accounts really well to support their YouTube channel, and I'd like to see if I can transition and do the same for mine. I really, really, really want to fall back in love with romance this year. I was a romance reader for a good chunk of my life. I started to read romance when I was 14, and for a while it was all that I read. It was my primary genre. I took a little bit of a reading break post college, and then really got back into reading about a year after my youngest was born. And again, romance was one of the genres that really pulled me back into reading. And in the last year, I've really struggled with romances, and they just haven't hit the way that they used to. And so but I still love it and I miss it. So I really want to use 2024 to fall back in love with romance, but I want to be strategic about it. I don't want to just read a bunch of romances and have a bunch of really disappointing reads. I want to be as scientific about finding the right romance novels for me as I possibly can. I don't know what that's going to look like yet. I don't know how that's going to work. I have to do some planning, but that is the goal, is to fall back in love with romance this year. I also want to try more indie authors this year, which sometimes can be a struggle because I'm really not an Amazon user. I don't have a Kindle, I have a Kobo, and I think not all obviously, but a lot of indie authors are on Kindle Unlimited, and if they're on Kindle Unlimited, then they can't be available for purchase from other platforms. So I think that will be my biggest struggle. But I'm definitely going to be asking my library to purchase indie authors as I find them. And I think I will have a less disappointing reading year for 2024 if I can maybe take half a step away from traditional publishing and try to find some indie authors who I think will work for me. And again, I don't want to just try a bajillion books hoping that will be the right author for me. I want to be more strategic about finding indie authors that I can love and whose careers I can follow. Okay, and then we have next I want to talk about my rereading plans for this year. I am a big rereader. I love to reread. One of my reread priorities, we'll call it, is every January I reread a locked tomb book. Last year I reread Gideon the Ninth for the third time. This January I am hoping to reread Harrow the Ninth for the third time. I have a podcast that I've been listening to that recaps and analyzes the books a few chapters at a time, and so I'm going to be reading in conjunction with that podcast. And then I don't know if I'll reread Nona the Ninth this year. It kind of depends on when Electo is going to come out. So we'll see. Nona might wait until next January. But I'm for sure rereading Harrow the Ninth this year. I also need to finish my reread of the Alana series. I read most of it in 2023. I just haven't finished my reread of the last book, and I would like to do that this year. I also I have never reread any of the Becky Chambers books, and I'd really like to read The Long Way to a Small Angry Planet quartet. I would love to reread that this year. And then these aren't rereads, but I have read all but 2 or maybe it's 3 of Jane Austen's novels, and I would like to finish those this year because it seems silly that I haven't finished her collection of works. So I would need to read Mansfield Park, Northanger Abbey, and I have DNF'd Emma 2 times, but I would like to actually finish Emma this year. I feel like I should like it because Clueless is one of my favorite movies, and Clueless is just an Emma retelling, so I don't know why I haven't been able to finish this book, but that is definitely a goal. And then I also would like to finish N.K. Jemisin's backlist this year. I have one series, one duology left, so I'd like to read that. And then as far as my January reading plans are, let's dive into those because my camera battery might die soon and I want to try and get this video done. I have 4 book clubs that I'm going to kind of be keeping track of this year. I might not participate in them every single month, but I'm going to keep my eye on them and try to participate more because I've just kind of been like watching and lurking on the live shows for 2023. But I would like to read at least 1 book for Literary Dead Book Club. Literally Dead Book Club? Yeah. I would like to participate in the Books and Wyverns book club, which is hosted by Katie is Reading and Cassie. I don't remember Cassie's channel's name, but they're going to be reading the Ember and the Ashes series for the beginning of the year. So I would like to read book 1 in January, which is what they're doing. I'm also wanting to do the Bujo Book Buddies book club, which I'll link the information for down below. I forget. Oh, they're reading Ink Blood Sister Scribe for January, which I am very interested in. And I feel like there's one more book club I wanted to participate in, but for right now I can't remember what it is. And then for the rest of my January reading plans, I'm not doing a TBR. I got really burnt out on TBRs doing Clear Your Shit in November and December, so I'm kind of going to give it a pass. I'm going to not do TBR, but I have a bunch of graphic novels on my radar for not a Goodreads project because I'm not a Goodreads user, but like a Goodreads adjacent project. And I also am contemplating doing a reading booktubers, my favorite booktubers' favorite books of 2023. Again, I haven't fully committed to that, but I've been taking note and writing down what my favorite booktubers' favorite books of the year were, and I might do that. But again, I haven't decided. I'm not really wanting to lock myself down to anything. I just want to have a good time in January, especially since I'm not going to be on social media, so I can't be influenced by random reviews or random posts. So January is usually my favorite reading month because I just get to read whatever I want to read, and I'm really looking forward to it. So I think that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching and spending time with me. And if you want to leave a comment, I would love to hear what your January plans are. If you have any goals or reading plans for 2024, I'd love to hear those too. If you want to leave a comment but you don't have anything to say, let's do a book emoji of some kind, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Bye!